This is Simplified Success, the podcast, hosted by myself, Crystal Blackard.
And me, Lindsay Reynolds.
Between the two of us, we have cultivated over $60 million in sales online. We have led big teams and operated in very high pressure environments where leadership either frankly stabilizes or everything completely falls apart. Right, Linz?
Yeah, and everything else in between, from being each other's weddings to making sourdough, helping each other be good moms and raise kids. Man, we have a blast on here, and we feel just so excited to have you guys be hearing the podcast and be on here because we feel like this is just a place for us to be able to pour back into you and serve well from all the cool places that we've had the opportunity to. Our fun pastimes are whiteboarding out our next business opportunities. So welcome to
Absolutely.
our fun conversations.
Absolutely. We move fast and we build smart, and we have a lot of fun here. So welcome to Simplified Success, the podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to Simplified Success, the podcast. I am Crystal Blackard. I am here with my co-host, Lindsay Reynolds.
Hello.
And we are so excited today, you guys. So I don't get celebrity fan girl. I'm not a
Well,
big,
she
I'm not
she
a,
does. She does about Jenna and Jenna's team.
Jenna, if I had to say like I fangirled anybody in the world, it would be Jenna Larson. That is the truest statement ever. So you guys know my background. I came from social selling and network marketing. But I did not know strategy in selling until I met and learned from Jenna. So you guys, today's a big honor for me because Jenna's like my mentor, my guide, my coach. She has taught me so much. She has opened my mind to strategy and systems and blown it just up over the last how long have we been working together, Jenna? Maybe like 5 or 6 years? Kind of a long time. And the really cool thing, we're going to get into this because Jenna's going to just give it all to us today. But you guys, I want to tell you a little bit about this girl. Jenna, how old are you, first of all?
Like, I don't know.
I do the
44.
same
I'm
thing.
44.
She's a baby. She's a baby. Last year, her company did 1.2 million in revenue, all organic, zero paid ads, small team, low ticket. But Jenna is absolutely a sales strategist genius. Okay. And she owner of two companies, two tech companies. She is just intuitive. She's above the mark. She does everything really large, but then she synthesizes it down into bite-sized chunks so that every like ordinary people can actually go and execute it. And so, Jenna, we are so honored to have you here today. Like, this is so cool to be able to
So
sit in a
cool.
room and it's like such a full circle God moment. Oh, and you guys, by the way, too, like just a really cool call out. Like Jenna and I actually know each other in real life. Like we've had dinner, we've taken trips together. Like we're actually real human friends. But if I were gonna throw my money at a coach, like in my previous life, like Jenna was that girl. Like I love her, I adore her. I could say so many wonderful things about you. So Jenna, thank you for taking the time to
Oh my
sit in
gosh.
this room with us and come to the table here and talk because you're just an amazing human and it's just an honor. So
I mean, I'm gonna come to your podcast every day that I need to feel better because I'm like sitting here like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. But no, I'm so grateful to be here, and I feel the same way about you. You know this, right? Like God put us together very intentionally, and we look at what we've done already, and I'm like, oh, that's the stepping stone. You know what I mean? It felt really big then, but I'm sure, we have a big future together. So I'm anytime you want me
absolutely.
around, I'm coming.
Absolutely. Well, we just love you and your team. So, okay, so first of all, Jenna, I want you to tell us where you are right now in your business life in the world because your business life and career has like the whole story is just crazy. It's a God story. But even in the last few months, like God has just totally turned everything topsy-turvy. So, talk about this last year in the transition, and then I want to get into the weeds and talk about where you came from and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, this year has been a year of like test, like throw it to the fire and test it. So we'll talk about this in a little bit, but the first couple years were unbelievably amazing. It was just like, sea parted, we walked, everything was amazing. I mean, massive growth and all the things. And then this year was like God being like, do you really want it? Like, do you really want what you've worked so hard for? And let's, kind of pressure test your faith a little bit. So we've had a lot of things inside of the business that we had to do. We were kind of forced to relaunch one of our entire software tools. And Everything that could have ever gone wrong went wrong. It was insane. I mean, we literally were in the fetal position for months. We've got people that will do $100,000 in a weekend using our tool. So when we went through this big transition, when things were not working the way we would expect and the level people have come to, expect from us, it was a very trying time to the point where we were like, should we just quit? We had a lot of conversations where we're like, man, look at what we have done. It has superseded anything that our own human brains could have ever dreamed would have happened. But maybe this is like where God's like I think we're done. So, there were a lot of conversations with some mentors and friends and family, like a lot of conversations with family, and with my business partner, Nate, and his wife, and my husband. And, we prayed a lot about, what do we want to do? And I've just been like looking, 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 what do you want me to do? And within, the last month or so, things have just completely shifted back into amazingness. And I think it was really a decision to like continue to be faithful. And so within that, I think last month we did over $111,000. And the reason is because we just made a decision and we went full force again instead of living in fear. And I think that was such a big deal, right? So bringing back the tool, getting excited, being, from a place of conviction instead of fear was huge. And then we launched a brand new tool, which has just taken off. So it's just been a really crazy year. But, here we are in December. We're just so excited because the way we're ending the year is the people we are and the place that we want to be from. So it's really exciting to kind of end it with a nice little bow because this year was really testing.
Yeah, well, and so previously just walking through some of this stuff with you because I was very much, I'm one of your customers, I'm one of your consumers of your products. And so
Yeah.
I have that tool that you guys revamped, the group tracks tool. And I remember that journey and being alongside there and like every week when we would meet up, it was like, oh, it's just and the things that were happening and you guys did persevere. And I will tell you guys, one of the absolute coolest tools, and Jenna can talk a little bit about that too. But okay, so you had a group coaching, like a
Hmm.
group coaching course that or not course, a group coaching community
Yeah.
that you ran meticulously and you had grown. I mean, what was it, like 80 to 100 people in
Yeah.
this monthly membership? And it was a mid-ticket, right? Membership. And
497 a
yeah,
month. Hmm.
a month. And so that was a very successful business for you, and you've decided to shut your doors on that. So talk a little
Yeah.
bit about that
Yeah.
decision, how long you'd been doing that, and just kind of share with us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you walk away from that kind of monthly
I know.
recurring
I
revenue? Let's walk through that. If anyone's doing math in
know.
their head really
Yeah,
quick.
it's so funny, but it was like through all of that stuff, like I just felt like I was working so hard and it was pulling a lot out of me because when I coach, I give everything. And it did not feel like it was serving me in the way that I wanted to. And
And it's
so we opened a different program, and many of those people who were in the first one transitioned over. But it just, I think when I look at like this year and really the big question we kept asking God was like, how do we get back aligned to what you want us to do, right? And I think, there is this big thing when we started our company. It started because I was at church one day. I was in corporate. I had been there for 10 years. I would have never left. I was so happy. But God knocked on my head and was like, hey, Jenna, you're going to start a company. And I was like, oh no, sir, wrong girl. Like, I think you have the wrong girl. I mean, I literally was like saying that to him. And, he laughed and, kept being like, no, no, you're going. I'm like, but I love this. I could stay here forever. I get my job done by 11 o'clock. I get paid full time. Like, I love my family there. But he was super persistent. So when I decided to quit my job and start a company, I didn't even know what company I was going to start. All I knew was that God told me to do it and I was going to listen. I walked into my boss's office and I was like, hey, God told me to quit my job, so I have to. And he was like, what the heck?
You
And
said
he
that
was
to your
like,
boss?
yes, I did. Those were the exact words. And he was like, what
Lindsay,
are
are
you
you listening to this? Are you
No,
like
I
catching
am.
any?
I am
Okay,
Yeah.
listening.
clues.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
He was like,
of
"What are you
course.
doing?" Like, I mean, I was really high up in the company as well, and like one of their top performers. And so then I called, well, first I called my husband. I should say that. First was the husband. And I said, hey, I'm gonna, leave my corporate career. I don't know what I'm actually gonna coach on. I do know that I've coached Olympians. I've worked in corporate. Like I have a lot of coaching. I think I'm just gonna coach people on how to get the best results and pull them out of them, like a performance coach. And my husband, I'm thinking is going to be like, this is a horrible idea. And then, by the way, I said, I'm starting my own company and I'm going to pay a coach $30,000 to figure out how to do this because I don't want to do it wrong. Right. And he was like, okay. And he said, well, if anyone can do it, it's you. And I was like, oh, love the enthusiasm, but crap, now I have to do it. Because if your husband says sure, when you put your dreams out into the world, you kind of expect that they're so crazy and lofty that someone's going to be like, oh, come on now, let's get real. But he did not. So then I called my mom and she was like, I've been waiting for this phone call for years. And I was like, what? We had never once discussed me ever leaving corporate. I am kind of an anxious person too. Like it is very odd. Anybody who knows me, that I would just like not have a plan, not have exactly what was going on, and just fully go. And they know that I'm a faithful person, but that's kind of wild to just be like, I'm quitting because God told me to.
Yeah, a little
So
bit.
I told, my mom, my husband, actually quit my job, which was wild. They had a going away party for me, packed up my desk. We all went. And then as I was walking out the door, he was like, wait, hold on, can I talk to you for a second? I was like, sure. Pull me in the office. He was like, look, I get more out of you than I do any other employee. What if you go start your business, but work for me a couple hours a day and I'll pay you the same? And I was like, well, yeah, sure. So that was so amazing because I was able to start my company while I had that security. But here's the
Mhm.
thing, if I had never actually quit, none of that would have happened, right? Like I had to take that first step. And so I mean, this has been how things have been, right? Where it's just like, I think the biggest issue that people have is that they never take that first step. And so they don't know what the next option or next door or next thing could be. I don't know if you guys have ever read Draw the Circle or listened to the audiobook Draw the Circle.
Mhm.
Oh, oh, Lindsay, you
Yeah,
must.
I think as I'm listening, I'm like, note to self, gonna have to
It
pull that
is
one.
so good. But they talk about where like the promised land was right there. You just never decided to walk in the water, right? And so the whole idea is how they talk about just be willing to get your feet wet. And so, like, take your first toe and put it in the water because you don't know. You may get into the water and it may be like, oh, you need to learn how to swim. Turn around, let's take lessons. Or it may be like, oh, you need a life jacket, go get one. Or it may be like, oh, you need to take a boat or whatever, right? But if you never are willing to get your feet wet, you will never know what the next step is. And lucky for me, and just so I like have goosebumps, I decided to get my feet wet and the sea literally parted and I just walked and it was so, so crazy. But I think about this all the time, like in every business decision, in every life decision, the most important thing that I always try to remember is like our human brains could not possibly comprehend what God's vision is for your life.
Right.
And so it's so crazy because, I took this step, I quit, I, then retracted the quitting and stayed for a little while. I think like 6 months. I actually started my coaching company while I was working full time, which they were so nice to let me do. I don't think everybody actually knew that was happening, but my boss kind of let it, go. And then I fully like, committed and quit. And it was so crazy. I started this coaching company. It was, making $250,000. And I thought, this is the freaking life. Like, what was I doing? And at that time I was like, whoa, this is what it looks like when you're obedient and you do what
How
he's
long
got
did it take you
you
to
do.
go from quitting your corporate job to getting to 250,000?
Maybe 2 years,
Okay,
maybe.
okay, okay.
I don't remember.
That's
That's a great question. I know exactly what my stats are for group track, but let's see. I want to say that I ran my coaching company for maybe 3 years before group track. If
okay.
that could be wrong, but it was pretty fast. Also, same thing. There were zero ads with that business. And the funniest part, and I think this is how I met you, Crystal. I never in my life did network marketing, not one single day. Yet I ended up creating almost an entire coaching company coaching network marketers. It was wild,
That's actually
wild.
really funny.
Yeah. And I think what I was just able to do, and what, I tell people to do all the time when they're creating their offers is, so many people will have these excuses or these reasons why they can't take that first step. And it's like, you do not know where God is going to put you. And really all I did was I took what I knew in corporate and I applied it to a group of people who didn't quite understand that mentality. And there was just such a need in that market. So it took off,
Mm,
right?
mm.
Um, but yeah, so I did that, for a couple years, and then I was driving one day on a way to a holiday party, actually to go visit my old corporate friends. I wasn't even working there anymore, right?
Uh-huh.
And I had another problem that was like on my mind, and I was like, oh my God, wait a minute, I have an idea. And I remember calling who is now my partner, but at the time he was a private client with a different software company, and I was like, oh my God, Nate, I have $1 million idea. And he was like, well, that's not possible. Sorry. And like fully deflated me.
Wait a minute.
And
So Nate was a client.
oh, yes. So
Interesting. I
so
didn't
I
know
met
that.
him. So he
And
was
Nate's, for you guys
working,
that don't know, Nate's her business partner in the software company. Nate's her like kind of
he,
yin to your
yeah.
yang. Hmm.
So he
Kind of like
had
Crystal and Lindsay.
Yeah.
different software company that
Okay.
he was building a back end software for a network marketing company. And
Oh.
someone was like, oh, this guy's a genius. You should meet him. So I ended up being his private coach to teach him how to make sales for his software company online. And so
Wow.
I was privately working with him. I saw that he was a genius, not good at sales, but really good at coding. And so then when I had this idea, he was the first one I called. I was like, wait, you should build this. And he deflated me like you would not believe. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, this is $1 million idea. This is amazing. And he was like, it's impossible. And I was like, well, that was not fun. And so, we kind of ended the conversation and I walked off like, tail between the legs. And then 2 weeks later, he called me. He's like, Jenna, I did it. And I'm thinking he's talking about something with his
He made a sale.
yeah, no, he never did that. Um, I'm just joking. He did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what he did do is he built the tool. And so, we just kind of kept going, kept going. And so it's so funny because I feel like at every little milestone, right? We've got the first business. I thought, oh, this is what God had for me. Oh my gosh, this is it.
Mm.
Then it's like, wait, now we've created another company and that's $1 million business and life is crazy. So then I'm like, wait, maybe this is what God wanted. And now, right, it's like we went through a whole nother thing and now we've created a whole nother tool. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is this what God wanted me to do? So it's like, it's just this idea that if you keep listening and you keep asking and then you keep obeying, because that's the hard part, right? You can ask all day long, but he doesn't always give you the answers you want. But if you listen, which is so hard, I acknowledge, it is just wild what your life can look like if you see it through his eyes and his possibilities.
I think that's a really important thing to extract here, just taking a step back from this, because I think so much of your following and your fan base would probably say they know Jenna, the strategist and the
Yeah.
business coach. But I think what's so important to really leverage and see here is Jenna, the obedient, faithful, not necessarily always fearless, but works hard to not walk in fear,
Yeah.
right? Because fearlessness isn't a thing. It's like we have to work not to be that way, is on top of even your strategy skill
Oh,
set.
yeah. Yeah.
Which is so important because I think people, and you always, I like on your coaching sessions I've heard you say, "Oh, I'm not a mindset coach. I'm not a mindset coach." And okay, we'll let you have that one. I sort of disagree with that, but whatever. But it's really important to call out just for people like taking this in, like your faith was uncanny. But because you were so obedient and you listened and you seeked God, you were able to bolster that muscle. And so
Yeah.
I just want to like extract that here because that's such an important. I think entrepreneurs oftentimes get so stuck in the action, the grind, and they want more strategy. And it's like you can't. There's not enough strategy to fix your like your weak faith and your
Yeah.
your lack of obedience and your lack of listening. Like you can't have one without the other. And you're just putting this together so eloquently, Jenna. So I wanted to extract that.
Yeah. And I think that's the hardest thing. I actually am a very high anxious person. Like my whole family jokes that I'm safety patrol and I try to control everything. Like I have very severe anxiety. So I think I say that because I want to show like how insane it is that I walked away from a career with no, I
Mm.
mean, I didn't have insurance. Like that's insane, you know?
When you
Um,
have two little kids and you live in California, like you have like expenses. It's not like you're just some lady with a husband and a dog. You
nope,
have
nope.
children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But, when we decided to start the first company, when I talked to my husband about, okay, well, what does success look like? We said success is you are following what God wants you to do. So if
Mm.
you make $0, that's what he wanted you to do. If as long as you are following his, will, you are succeeding.
That
And so,
wait a minute, stop the show. That's powerful. Success. Okay, so like we'll quote this. Success for Jenna, and really this is really like an overarching theme of every Christian is staying in God's will for your life. And it
yeah,
doesn't wow, that just shows how resilient of a leader and your faith right there, girl.
thank you.
Mm,
Well, you
that's
have
good.
to, right? Because it's like, this is not my plan. I was not, I mean, in fact, I was so resistant to do it, right? So, and I think this is honestly where we got out of alignment last year, this year, where things weren't going well. It was like we're so focused on revenue, we're so focused on like, where are we going with this business? And it was like, wait, what are we doing? And so I think that was like a big thing this year is like, how do we get back into alignment with what we said? And
Mm.
our true thing, and it's so funny because Nate, my business partner, is a Christian as well. I mean, and that whole thing, like me meeting him, we had never actually met in life, in real life, Zoom only. We started a company together. Like, who knows what this man believes and all the things, right? But same, he is a Christian, and it's just been amazing. But I think that we had to really go back and say, wait, what are we doing here? Like, what does success look like? Because when we started, it was we're doing God's work and that's it, right?
Mm.
And it's so funny, and I think I may have shared this with you, but I go on podcasts a lot, and most of them don't ask me about my faith. It's not a faith type of podcast. This is the number one story I share almost every time, whether they ask it or not. It's coming in, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the whole thing. Like, I think, okay, he's given me a platform, he's given me a voice. People apparently want to listen to me, so it's got to be about what he's done for me and not, what I'm getting out of all this, right? And I'm not
Well, and
like,
I think that's why I aligned so much to you when we met was because
yeah,
I saw that in you, and that to me, and Lindsay's so good at saying this, she articulates it, but squeaky clean vibes, like, and nothing do we do out of integrity, and that's where like when I met you and we started talking, we started connecting, I'm like, I want to know this girl in real life, like she is my person, like we are like if I'm going to be in a room with five people, I want her as one of my five, you
oh,
know?
I'm there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question because as you're talking through this, and like Crystal knows your story much more intimately than I do. So you're walking through this obedient journey, and I think a lot of us get pulled to, I feel like I'm supposed to take this step or that step. And you at this point, we're talking about one decision was, walking away from, $15,000 of recurring revenue, walking away from your job completely, right? Moving to this business or that business. So it's a lot of these like core decisions. So how do you go about, and because I hear people say this a lot, like, oh, God told me. I always think that's so funny,
Mm.
especially recognizing I had a different journey in my way to having a relationship with God. Walk through what that actually looks like. Because I think there's people on this podcast that are listening that have
Totally.
all realm of conversation around what a relationship with God even is. And so
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to talk about like what does that tangibly feel like? What does that tangibly look like? Like how do you go about by all measures burning bridges, burning boats for that matter? How do you know that's it? How do you know it's time to pivot from group tracks and make Anna? Like how like where does that come from? I shouldn't say pivot from group tracks. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like, focus on Anna.
lucky I actually feel the Holy Spirit. And I know that that is not everybody's experience. Like, I have best friends that are, faithful, know the Bible, all the things. Like, I couldn't even like quote scripture to you. Like, that is not really who I am, right? It is like a total intimate relationship. But so like for me, I physically know when I am speaking to him. I can hear him, I can feel him, and I'm always like, hey there. Like, I acknowledge, I'm like, oh, I know you're here right now. I'm really excited. I love you. Which I know it sounds so crazy because if I was not a Christian, had never had that experience, I'd be like, this girl is absolutely cuckoo, but I just know it. But I'll give you like the most tangible example, not related to business. So I have a son who's pretty severely dyslexic. And we had to make a decision about where we wanted to put him in school. And there is a school that is an hour away. It is between $36,000 and $38,000 a year. And we had to make the decision as a family, are we going to financially be able to take this on? Are we going to be able to, time, commitment, me driving, all of these things? I mean, it was going to be just the biggest life decision, right? And so we were going through all of these different things and, trying to decide what to do. My son was like, I'm never going there. I mean, he was so adamant. And anyways, I felt this like calling, like you are supposed to go there. And there just were all these little moments where I was like, I think I hear you, God. Like, I think you're telling, and it's not always like so clear, right? But I kept thinking, okay, well, he has to go get testing. And I kept telling myself, well, I'll just wait till the test results come back and then I'll make the decision. And someone looked at me and she said, wait, hold on, let me just get this straight. You just told me you feel like God's telling you to put your kid here, but you're waiting for a human to tell you? And I was like, oh, that's weird. And so I said, okay, fine. And so I listened a little bit more and I was like, okay, God, do you want me to put him here? And I kind of felt like it was a yes, right? And so I just said to my husband, we got to do it. Like, we can't wait for the test results. We just need to decide. If God wants us there, that's what we're doing. And then a day later, after making the decision, my son, who is, I'm telling you, so I will not go there, kid, out of nowhere, he goes, hey, Mom. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, remember that school you told me about a long time ago? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, I think I'll go there. Come on. Come on. That is crazy, right? So he didn't know any of these conversations, but the second we were like, we're listening to God, all of a sudden he's like, I think I'll go. And that is just how it looks all the time, where it's like we just get our feet wet, right? We just make a decision. And I think that's the big thing for me, to answer your question too, Lindsay. It's like, how do we make the decision? I don't always have like, I mean, again, like, I fully recognize I sound crazy. But I don't always know for sure, like, is this in my brain talking? Or is this him? Like, there's sometimes where I'm just like, I'm not sure. So what I go back to is get your feet wet. Do one little baby step and he'll course correct you. Just do one little thing. So make the decision, we're going there. And then I get confirmation, right? So it's like, put out the product, see if it works. You know what I mean? So like, I just think, and I really think, when people say like, why are you successful in business and in life and, all some other things, right? I can bring it down to one thing. I have an idea and I take action immediately to get my feet wet. I don't wait. Like I said, going into my boss's office is why I ended up getting paid to run my company and still get a full-time salary, because I made a decision and I just took action, and it just was a tiny step. It felt big. But it's these little things, I think, that, when we're deciding, do I open this product? Do I let go of this business? Do I do whatever? It's just doing one little step. And then you will know, do I need a floaty? Do I need a boat? Do I need to go back to the shore? You will know. But if you're so terrified that you won't even stick your big toe in the water to see if the sea will part, you will never know. You're going to sit, and the promised land could be right there, and you will literally never know. Am I talking to you, Lindsay?
Yeah, no, and I think what's really interesting, because we talk about this a lot.
I was like, am
Yeah.
I talking to you?
Yeah, no, but I think it's interesting about that too, though, is I think a lot of times people think when you make a decision, you're then stuck. And I think that's such a big thing, because like what I hear you saying is like, I made a decision, recognizing that that's what made sense and alignment at that moment, and giving myself the grace and ability to adjust my decision. And so I think
100%.
a lot of times people don't make decisions, like they just flat won't, because they're like, well, until I know exactly how this is all going to go, I can't take my first step, to your analogy. And I think it's so important that people remember, recognize, like, and like the listeners are hearing this, like, you can take a step, you can make a decision, and then based on new information, make a new decision. And like, to your point, like, we're going to launch the thing, and then we're going to see what happens and see what people say. And like, you launched using the newest launch you guys did, we had a call with you shortly after, and then you're like, oh, we'll add this, like, because then you start getting like momentum comes from movement. And like, if you're stuck, like, you have to do something. And so, I find this really, it's a cool conversation. Yeah.
Both of the products that we launched with a tiny idea, and we went fast to market. and then amazing entrepreneurs, just like the conversation we had the other day where you were like, can you do this and this? And I was like, I don't know, maybe we can.
Yeah.
So open, because that's the thing. We launch with a tiny idea, knowing that
Mm.
the world and God and whoever else is going to participate in what it looks like after. And one of
Mm.
the things I have to remind myself all the time is you can pivot. You can change your mind. You can, reverse. You can go back to the shore. And I have, right? But I have to constantly remind myself. So right now, for example, my son's been at this school for years. He's going into junior high. We have to decide if we're committing to 2 more or if we're going to put him somewhere else. This feels huge to me, because there's so much at stake, right? And I said to my husband, I just have to go explore the schools first. That I took my first step. I'm willing to get my feet wet. And all of a sudden, I'm like, ooh, that one is a no. You know what I mean? But it's like I won't know unless I go do the things, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
I will tell you, I know this is like such a silly analogy, but when we were pregnant with my first son and I did not know what to name him, and this felt like a big decision, well, we just said, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. We were between two names and we're like, okay, we're going to call him Riker for a week and then we're going to call him Eric for a week, but we are going to act like this is so. We're going to sit in this being true. And we did. And then it was like, oh my God, absolutely, it's Riker, right? But I
I'm
think
so glad that you said it was Riker because when you said that, I was like, oh man, I hope it ended up being Riker. I have no idea, but I was like, that is such a good name. I hope that's what it is.
it totally is, and it's the best name. Oh my God, that makes me so happy. But like, I just think this is the thing. I've worked with so many entrepreneurs, and it's just so much time thinking. And I'm like, what are you doing? In fact, I have a private client right now, and every time we meet, we're just talking about her offer, her message. I was like, stop it right now. Stop it. I'm not going to talk to you about this anymore. We've talked enough. Go make offers right now. Go tell people, see what needs to happen. And she
Yep.
did, and she got 2 huge high ticket clients. I'm like, praise the Lord, come on, right? But it's
Yeah.
just it's the lack of
Well,
action.
well, and I also think, like, to your point, when you get stuck on something, like, and you put too much energy into building it, you're entirely too invested in a way where you can't hear the feedback. And so I think it's important, like, God made us all different on purpose. So we would, I feel like, I don't know, this is not biblical, but this is Lindsay language. I feel
Yeah,
like he made us all different on purpose. So we would need each other. So
yeah.
if we had everything we needed, we wouldn't need each other the same. And that wasn't the initial thought of the design. So I feel like we all complete each other in different ways. And so I feel like it's so important to take the step. Like you said, if it's not all the way done. I mean, when we launched our community, like it's got a facelift this week. Finally, I'm so glad. Depending on when you guys listen to the podcast, finally. Because when we launched initially, it was so ugly. And like I told Crystal, I was like, we're walking and it's fine. And we'll use this later to explain to people why this is important, but also it is atrociously ugly. And so like the content was good. The aesthetics were bad.
But
But like,
example of a leader
yeah.
doing the
Have to
first
step forward. Yeah.
because I
Like
mean that's
messy,
something
broken,
I
unfinished. Like
try.
move.
I try so hard in my business to show up with mistakes, with transparency. Like I really go above and beyond to be like, oh, and that typo is hysterical. And you know what I mean? Because I don't want people to think that perfect matters because it doesn't. I mean,
No.
to me, it's like, are you doing what he wants you to do? And are you in action all the time? And to be fair, like my team despises it because like I will be talking to my other co-partner, Lindsay, and I will be like, oh, I have an idea. And before we're done, I've already posted about it and offered it. And she's like, great, now I gotta go make this. And I'm like, don't make it till someone buys it. Why are we doing, what I mean?
Mm.
It's like
Yeah.
keep moving it. It will unveil. It either will or it won't. But information is so powerful.
I love that.
Mm.
Don't build it till someone buys it. Why are we
Oh,
putting all this energy? That was seriously that's how we did it when we launched TBA. It was like, and like when I say we did like a landing page, like it had a payment link.
yeah. No, I mean
Yeah.
we have a done for you option right now that's $3,000 a month. We don't even have a landing page. We don't, not at all. It's a Google Doc.
Yeah.
I probably will never
Mhm.
make a landing page to be honest. I had a 10K program, no landing page. Link to a checkout, Stripe. That's it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Such good thoughts. I love it. I love it. So Jenna, tell us a little bit about, so you and Nate had this $1 million idea. You came on with this partner who you'd never met. God put you guys together. Talk a little bit about how Group Tracks was born because I feel like Group Tracks is pretty revolutionary.
Yeah.
and how it functions and how it works. I mean, it's a game changer.
Yeah. So the big thing that I saw in my first coaching company was that I was teaching people how to keep their customers buying. That was the big thing I did in corporate, was like listening to the voice of the customer and understanding what they wanted. Um, I just had such an epiphany right now, which is hysterical. Okay, can we squirrel for 1 minute and then you take me
Squirrel,
down? You got
squirrel.
to
You do it
be
all the
back
time.
here though, because I'm gonna
No,
fully
you're
forget.
good. Go.
This is so crazy. Okay, in my corporate world, my number one thing was retention and voice of the customer, meaning I studied everything about the customer and the words they were using and all these things so that our marketing and messaging and deliverables matched it. I just made Anna the
Which does
analyzer.
exactly that.
What? What? I am gonna like cry. This is so crazy. I'm telling you. Okay, I have to tell you, we're going down a whole nother story.
Okay,
You guys,
go. Just go with it.
my undergrad, my master's, and my certificate is in crime analysis, like criminal justice. I was a crime analyst at a police department. Can you imagine? So weird. Anyways, I hated it. Hated it. I applied for a random job. I don't even remember applying for it. And I was sitting at my desk and I got a phone call and it was an interview. And I was like, oh my gosh, ran out into the parking lot. I remember ducking behind the cars at the parking and in the police department to take this interview. Worst interview of my entire life, to the point I almost hung up on her. I don't hang up on people. I was mortified at how bad I did on this interview. I was like, I should just cut my loss, hang up. I don't even know what I'm applying for. Anyways, I got, hired. Just so hysterical. And this job is the one I ended up staying for 10 years in corporate and was like everything. And so at this job, I had a job where I was managing a CRM and I was doing all these phone calls and I was like the best at, getting client retention and finances and all these things. And I've always laughed about like, oh my gosh, God, you knew in that phone call that I almost hung up that this was the job that was going to set me up for everything in my future. And I've always looked back at like the CRM part and the way I speak, and like we would get graded on our phone calls and all the stuff. And now it's the last piece, which maybe there's more, but I'm like real time realizing the voice of the customer part. He already
Wow.
knew. He already knew that I was going to make Anna. Is that crazy?
It's so crazy, isn't it? Isn't that cool too? Okay, wait a minute. I gotta like take this even more full circle. So just to kind of play with this a little bit, I was in your coaching group and you gave us a Google Doc with a template of how to write an email and you fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a few weeks later when you were like, you guys, watch what I can do with ChatGPT. And
Yes.
then we all started writing funnels and campaigns using ChatGPT, just using your templates and then telling
Yeah.
it the details and it doing it. And now, here, I think that was about a year or so ago. I
Yeah.
mean, this is how fast this has moved,
Yeah.
okay? Here you are now, like a year and some change later,
Yep.
and you have created your own AI analyzer. Okay,
Wow.
like can you believe that? Like I remember that Google Doc. It was like in
Yes.
2024, Jenna, and you were like,
Yeah.
write copy, use my structure, and go type it. And we did, and it was so cool at the time. So cool.
Wow. I'm gonna have to use
Wow.
that. That's so fun. Yeah. But it's this whole thing where it's like you think you know and you have no clue, but he does. I mean, he literally planned this out. I'm like, I have to be like, thank you, that's so fun later. But anyways, okay, I know I said okay, I was going down a rampage and I was gonna come back. You had asked me a question about corporate something. I don't know what I was saying, but it had to do with me working in corporate. Oh, anyways, I do remember. I got it. Okay. Why the heck do we have group track? So while at corporate, I was using a CRM, understanding voice of customer, trying to get my clients to retain. So that's like what I was really good at. That's what I took and brought to my first company. And I was teaching people how to do that. Just
Mhm.
randomly happened to be network marketers and some online coaches. And so, but what I was doing and what I was teaching them was working so well that they had so many clients, so many conversations, so many renewals and all the things that they started to get overwhelmed. So they're like, Jenna, right? Because I, at the time, found a CRM that I could just customize and give to them. Hi, I think I invented high level. Totally joking, but not. Like I literally took someone else's CRM, built out their entire pipeline, all their emails, all their tags, everything, and I would give it to them. Like, hello, framework, before it was a thing. This was like 2019, maybe before. Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
we'll add that to my list of accomplishments. I created frameworks. You heard it here.
Yep.
So, anyways, but we were doing it on this, CRM that was not on social media. And so people were like, this is great, Jenna, but we're losing our mind. We can't keep up with this. We're losing conversations and all the things. So then I had the problem while I was driving idea. We need to build a follow-up system that is where your people are, which is on social media. So that's
Mm.
what I called Nate with. And I'm like, you've got to build this tool. And so Group Track, for those of you who don't know, is a tool that sits on top of LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram for now. And basically what you can do is you can hover over any name on any person and add them into your follow-up system, which is a pipeline. And a pipeline is really just like a stepping stone on how you want to get somebody to go from, hey, I just met you, all the way to client who keeps buying over and over and over. So that's really how we created Group Track. And like I said, we started with this one tiny idea, which was help me manage my Facebook group. Like, I just want to know of the people in my Facebook group, who's bought, who's not, who have I made an offer to, which is why it's called Group Track. And we laugh now, we're like, that name does not do it justice because it works
No,
on
no, it
Instagram. I mean,
doesn't.
no one has an
Yeah.
idea, right? We've talked about changing it a few times, but it's got enough street cred that we didn't want to do it.
It sticks, yeah.
But this is the thing, right? We started with this tiny baby idea. And then we had all these unbelievable entrepreneurs. I mean, do you guys remember back in the day when you could only get the blue check if you were like a big deal?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying we had a lot of blue check people that people don't even know we worked with using Group Track. And they were in our ear going, you need to build this and this and this and this. And we're like, okay. And that's literally what we did. And I think that's the big idea is launch small with a tiny idea, first toe in the water, and then let people get on board and start teaching you like, I need this and this and this. And then you kind of all ships rise together. What? Look, I'm
Mm.
but right, that's literally what happened is that everybody just got so excited. Then we kind of built this like crazy thing with everybody,
Yeah.
which is so fun.
Well, I think you can have a roadmap. You don't have to have it all figured out on day one.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have literally no roadmap.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's so funny because over the past 2 years, it was just Nate and I for a while, which was so fun because the whole Nate build this, he says no, 30 seconds later it's built has never stopped. And I love that about us, but it also got us a little bit in trouble because we grew really fast. We kind of went out of scope, we didn't have great systems. And so that was really hard and it did affect us. We brought in project management and stuff, and it's great because it keeps us organized, but it does stifle our creativity a lot. So like Nate and I will be like, can we just get together for like an hour and just like jam? Because I'm like, what do I need to make this? And he's like, yeah. And when you try to like control us in this very like structured environment, we kind of are like, ugh. But it's necessary, right? So yeah, it's so fun. We love it. But yeah, we've got, tons of customers using it. It's amazing. It's grown into something crazy. But like I said, we did the migration this year where we had to rebuild it from the ground up. Spent over $400,000 to do that, which was not fun. And then everything that could have gone wrong did. So it was a rough year. And that kind of brings us back to where we started the conversation, which was just, what the heck are you doing now? Because it was a really rough year, thoughts of leaving, and it kind of came back to, well, what does success look like and how do we do this? And so, yeah, we still, Group Track is back in growth mode, which is so exciting. And yeah, and now it's all about, bringing in the new people with Anna as well, which is the new tool.
So cool. And then just to kind of plug Anna a little bit, because we've been playing with Anna too. And by the way, yeah, we love Group Tracks. We're faithful users every single day. We run our Group Tracks campaign, our strategies, spend an hour on it, move people through the pipelines, and it's a genius. I mean, it's Lindsay and I have actually been able to scale our business. We started back in March, and we've had over six figures come in. I'm probably saying this all wrong, Lindsay, since March.
You're
Being
right.
able to scale it, you know what I mean? And I remember having a conversation with you like a year ago, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I think, Jen, I just want to like sell other people's products. And you were like, maybe not, Crystal. You remember that conversation?
Remember that? Yep. I was like, sure, you want to sell someone stuff? Here you go. But I don't think that's what you're going to do.
Yeah,
But
no, I
okay.
totally wasn't. But no, so Anna is really cool, and we've had so much fun playing with her too, because she literally will layer over the tops of people's Facebook profiles and groups and that kind of thing, and tell you the pain points, what if this is a good customer, if it's a good fit, if you should even waste your time talking to this person, because some people can't, or maybe you're using a BAM or a VA that doesn't know how to siphon those people for you, and you can actually get super specific and intentional with it. So such a cool tool. I read somewhere the other day that back in the 80s and 90s, people were talking about how the internet was going to create all these millionaires and billionaires. Well, now it's 2025 and it's AI that's going to create these. And if you're not using it and leveraging it and learning about it, you're just going to get so left behind on that. So,
Yeah. The funniest thing, and now that we've discussed about the voice of the customer, right? It's this idea that everything you could ever need as an entrepreneur or product, solution person is written on the internet. People
mm-hmm,
complain, people ask questions, people are looking for things and they write it down. You go to a
mm-hmm,
Reddit thread, I mean, unreal. And so that's the thing. It's like, don't ever make another product or launch another thing without knowing, do the people actually want this? What do they want? What's problems with what's already out there? How can we make ours better? And so, like, the most meta example of this, I think, is so funny is when we kind of had that inkling, like, okay, God's dropping this new idea on us. The first thing we did, first little toe in the water was, well, let's go do some research. So we went
mm,
to the Facebook groups, the Reddit groups, the comment threads, all of these places, and we were like, well, what are people saying? And the biggest thing is people would make all these offers, spend time making them beautiful and all the things, and then make no sales. And they were really frustrated. And the other really big thing that stood out was like, why is my content not working? How come one else is working and not mine? And what is she doing? And what am I not doing in that? Right. And so we were
mm-hmm.
like, it's the guessing. Why are people guessing when the answers are here? And so we did all this research manually, and based on the data and the voice of the customer, we created the AI social analyzer. And
Mm.
what's so funny is now the tool we built just does that whole process that we did manually. It does it for you. And we had idea in late September. We started it, we did the research, we vibe coded it first, then we made the full tool, and then we launched it November 5th. As of this recording, it is December 12th, and I can tell you literally live how much we have brought in all time so far is $24,645. That is
Wow.
just a little over 30 days. That's
Wow.
crazy.
Well, and recognizing that it's not a high ticket product. I think that's an
No,
important thing. Like I think people
Yeah.
say stuff like that. They'll be like, "Oh," and it's like, "Oh, you made 24 grand." Yeah, but it's not a high ticket product.
no, no.
It's a
It's,
lot
I
of
mean, it's
sales.
either $200 or $350. It
Yeah,
is a low ticket offer. And that's why I said in the beginning, us making $1 million without ads and a low ticket offer is a really big deal
it's a
because you'll have
huge
a lot of
feat.
people be like, oh yeah, I made $1 million, but they spent 75,000 to get there, right?
Mm.
And they
I mean,
sold three things.
700,000
You're
to
right.
get there.
Right.
75 wouldn't maybe be horrible, but yeah, I mean, but here's like the meta part, right? It's like the tool does exactly what we did to build the tool. It's like a whole thing, but that's the thing. It's like I would literally never and will never, now that we have this tool, launch another thing without doing it again. I have a private client and he's got a huge Facebook group. There are 17,000 people in it. And last week when we met, there were 16,000. Like it is growing like crazy. Ooh, idea for you, Crystal. But
Okay.
anyway, we were going to build an offer for him. He's never monetized the Facebook group. And he's like, well, what are we doing? So we're like going through my process of like, these are the pillars. And then I was like, wait a minute, let's run Anna in your group. So we went over to his Facebook group. We did a scan. And so what Anna does is she basically reads all the posts, all the comments, all the questions, all the things. We got so much analysis. And then we went and built the offer exactly reaching it, to the word. In fact, it even gives you a word bank of what are the words those people are using so that when you make your offer, your marketing, your messaging, you use the voice of the customer. Um,
Wow.
Boom. I just got a different
wild.
idea. Noting that one down real quick.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so good. So, I mean, it was like we did not have to do any work. It did it for you. And I love this idea that it's like Anna, she's just going to tell you the truth of what people want. And all you have to do is listen to her. She just does it for you. It's so, and then to be clear, the scan and the output you get takes no more than a minute, probably less, depending on how much data you're looking at. It's insane.
Mm. Wow, that's so cool. So freaking cool. Okay, you
Yeah.
guys have some
Well,
ideas popping over here.
I was thinking too, one part to note on this. So like even if, you're not looking to target sales from that perspective, because some people that should,
Mhm.
although I don't know if they agree with the strategy, it may not be their strategy. I think the coolest thing that I've seen out of Anna this point, I've seen a lot of cool things, but for me, especially in somebody in that use case, is man, you can run it on yourself and see if you're projecting correctly. And so like one of the first things that was like actually was hilarious because Crystal was testing it with one of our team members, and I start getting these messages in our Slack channel, and it says really one thing. I'm like, what are you even sending me? This is a lot, like too long, didn't read. What is this? Like what? What is this? And then she told me what she was doing. And I was like, oh no, I actually do want to read this. Okay, hold on. Let me scroll back up to the top. But it did this incredible analysis, like based on our business or what we're doing or like what our brand is. Because on our personal pages, our whole personal brand of who we are, like does it align? Is
Yeah.
there so and that was I think so unbelievably helpful. So even if you aren't interested in a group track strategy, which again, offline conversation, message us, we can talk to you about what that even means because it's incredible. But even if you're not interested in that, it's super important that your brand messaging and your billboard is accurate to what
Mhm.
you think it's being perceived as.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it will
Yeah,
even, we updated the prompt since you've used it. It will even guess who Anna thinks your target market is. It'll be like, based
so
on the
helpful.
content you're putting out, we think this is it. And then you can be like, oh, shoot, that is not my target market. And then it will give you suggestions of content and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
It's,
or
yeah.
like
I think
you're
that's the
talking like way
biggest.
too, yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
that's
Crystal.
the biggest. No, well, that's just the biggest bottleneck, I think, for people that are
Yeah.
in sales, right? We used to do rapid fire like that in the coaching group. You're like, okay, go. Who's your target audience? And we'd be like,
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the biggest gaps that people have in their social selling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm going on a cruise. I've never been on a cruise in my life. And so there's a Facebook group. And I used Anna in the Facebook group. I was like, don't read this based on my business, but tell me everything I need to know the cliff notes. I don't want to read all these comments. And I was like,
Mm.
amazing. Also, I went on YouTube. There was a video of a coach I wanted to watch. And I was like, I do not have 45 minutes. Click, gave me a full summary of the YouTube and then it applied it all to my business use case. Be like, well, here's what you need to do. And I was like, thank you. That's amazing. So, I mean, I'm just telling you, like,
There's
outside
lots
of
of ways to
business,
leverage this in
even,
a way. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's insane. I mean, it's like, let's say you want to create a new digital product, run a scan in someone's Reddit community, and it will tell you what to build that you can sell in a day. I mean, it's wild.
Wow, this is cool. And by
Yeah.
the way, guys, we affiliate with Anna, so our link will be in the show notes.
Yes, heck yes.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's going to expire soon, so get it while you
Yeah,
can.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is good. This is like
Yeah.
on our. This is so much fun.
It's amazing. Well, I know we're getting close to the point where we have to end this part and start doing our backstage pass. So
Yes,
I don't
we're
know if
so
you want to
excited
talk
for
about
that
what that
piece.
looks like, Crystal, because that's actually new. So depending on when you're listening to this, that backstage pass is a new thing. So I don't know if you want to talk about what that is, Crystal, and
Yeah,
then
absolutely. So,
yeah,
so the really cool thing about like the life that Lindsay and I have got to lead and just live is we have gotten to know some really freaking cool people. And Jenna
hence this
Larson is
conversation.
hence this conversation,
Yeah.
like getting to sit in rooms at tables and there's room at these tables. That's the cool thing
Oh,
about it.
completely.
But getting to sit and have really cool conversations with brilliant minds and leadership and like people that are elevated, people that are doing great things in the world and doing it for God's good and doing it out of faith and doing it with family first and doing it with squeaky clean integrity. Like that's just like that's what Lindsay and I stand for. And so we record the podcast for everybody, for all the audiences, because we want to bring these people. This is part of our purpose. Like we know this is part of our calling is to bring these people to light and show them and to just really that facilitates what God's calling us to do. Lindsay and I know this. We believe this deep in our guts. But on the backside of it, we do have a private community, team, a builder academy, where we, after we do our public podcast, we siphon off a little bit of extra time and we do some rapid fire questions where we're gonna like get inside Jenna's brain, you guys. And Jenna's brain is a really cool place to hang out if you haven't. If you can't tell. So then we get like, yeah, we get like even more tactical, get more into the how. This is kind of what we get more into the how. So if you want to be a part of that, the Builder Academy is where those live. It's exclusive to Builder Academy because that's our group. That's where we jam. That's where we implement. That's where we put all of our really cool things, our bots, and all that kind of stuff. So that's
Yeah.
what we're gonna after we wrap this up, we're gonna jam with Jenna on a backstage pass. It's just a little bit longer.
So is there any like parting words that you want to leave for the listeners here on the podcast before we jump over to the backstage?
Guys, literally just
Mm.
take one step, see what happens. You can always come back. You can get a floaty, you can get a boat, you can get swimming lessons, but it is so possible that the sea will part just because you are being rewarded for trying and having faith in whatever
Mm.
you do. But yeah, get your feet wet.
Mm.
Love
So
it.
good.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast with us today. We're very grateful. It's been amazing and such an amazing story.
Yes.
Yeah, we're excited to go jump backstage. So,
Yep.
everybody have a good day. Well, thank you so much for listening today. We are so glad that we got the opportunity to spend this time with you. If as you were listening and things felt like wow, or you had one of those moments, those are our favorite. If it's like, oh, that's a nugget. Man, we hope that you stick around. We want you to subscribe, and that way you can hear all of the amazing things that we're going to be riffing about and give us some feedback on all the things.
Absolutely. Everything we teach comes from real life experiences. We don't build any tools that we ourselves have not had to use and have been absolutely desperate for ourselves. And so, building crazy revenue streams, building under pressure, turning chaos into structure is actually what we do best. And we have learned from some of the lowest of lows and gotten to come back on top of the mountain. So, thank you for taking that time to listen with us.
Yeah, so make sure you tune in. Continue to steal from our 10,000 hours and the amazing guests that we get to bring on the podcast, so that you can continue to grow, learn, and be the best version of yourself. So tune in for the next one. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.